You good?
Yeah.
Do an intro for this?
Yeah, probably.
What?
Intro?
That was the intro.
Oh. Well,
Sirs and madams.
glad that'll stay in.
Gustav is the madam today. I got nothing, really. Can't tell I make this up as I go along.
They'll never know.
They'll never know.
That's 2019.
We can fix it in post.
Just go.
Oh, Lord.
Right. Volume 2 soundtrack. Review by musicians. Here we go. Why are we still waiting for the video to start?
Sirs and madams. Peter's looking dejected.
I hate
right
you
now.
both so much right now.
So
today is the review of the Volume 2 OST.
Yeah, Volume 2. And so what we did was
Didn't I already?
we put this, we put it up, and a lot of people enjoyed it.
Yes.
And so we weren't going to film this until like later because their schedules were kind of packed up. But we found a couple hours like to squeeze this in, so we'll do it now.
Yeah.
And then that's about it. So
well, as an update, by this time, obviously, myself and the others have gone through all of Volume 3.
yeah, Volume 3 is done.
So we finished that recently, and it was filmed recently to where it's still pretty fresh in my mind.
Yeah, so there's no so anything from here that might be spoilery for Volume 3, I mean, there's not really anything I can think of majorly.
Right.
There's one song that includes a character that you saw at the end of Volume 3.
Right, yeah.
So that would be the spoiler thing, but everything else is pretty much good to go. So anyway, let's see. First one, Time to Say Goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So here we go.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, it's the opener, obviously.
Of course. This was the first song that I ever heard from RWBY. So this is how I was introduced to the show. Once again, just off the gate, the Jeff Williams key change. Man, right out the gate, kudos to her, because those high E's are no joke. Like, and she kills them. She hits like 5 high E's back to back and nails all of them.
Right.
It's really great. I'm also comfortable saying that this is by far the most anime-like song
Intro
of most of what I've heard so far. Oh, even more so now.
I was waiting for this specifically for you.
Drums are good. Syncopated drums were always good.
With high strings above.
I like that. Yes. Tasty guitar solos.
More keychains.
Yep.
say goodbye. Oof. God, there's so much going on in that song, and it's the more I was not a fan of this song when I first heard it, but the more I listen to it, the more I pick up and the more I like. Like for me, especially during the chorus, you have the strong like rock melody of the guitars and the drums and the high female vocals, and that it's the counter melody of like the strings or the synths and the strings that really it fills in the sound and it makes it super lush, and having so many, or at least it's two solid moving voices because it's melody and counter melody of strings. But sometimes when you add a harmony in either of those two voices, it creates a third voice, and it all just speaks to layering.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Was like in this one, at least so far,
right?
Compared to Volume 1, there's more of a harmony. Her own voice harmonized with her own voice.
Yeah,
going back.
And
back,
yeah.
And
I heard that it's which I love.
Yeah.
I dig vocal harmonies.
I mean, real harmonies, not just the punk rock third, where,
right.
where the guy's just hanging on a note above while someone's below.
Bop, 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 bop.
And like why the other guys
hold it.
Right.
Like the Blink-182 effect.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Right.
That's what I was about to say.
There's
It's like
nothing wrong with Blink-182. I mean, I was a fan of them in high school. But
of course.
the Linkin Park Blink-182 concept.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But it's speaking to the counter melodies, and also sometimes it's the equivalent of like a drum fill, but for synths. Sometimes it's just a little flourish. It's not a full melody. It's just like, and we're gonna fill in like 2 measures here with a little bit of strings, and it's in the details. That's the little thing that puts the song to be super catchy.
Oh yeah,
super memorable.
And that sort of breakdown section where she sings a little bit lower in her range, then you have the strings mimicking like 2 octaves above her, like quietly, kind of this sort of echo discant above her, but like in the same pitches. So it's not a harmony; it's an actual just echo of the same melody above. And
that quiet B section with her singing, she hits a low G, and it's soft, but it's produced beautifully because that B section.
That's because she's an alto. Like that's.
I'm convinced that she's going to grow up to be a true mezzo. Like somewhere who just sits, who's got some of the high and some of the low.
Yeah, and so just to clear this up beforehand, because I was thinking about this on the way over, like timeline wise. So the first soundtrack, she was 14.
Yeah. So
this came out in 2013, or the show came out in 2013 originally, right?
Yeah.
So they think, 1 year ahead of the last 2 numbers of the year, right? So this would have been 2014. So she would have been 15 during this one, give or take, right?
Still nuts.
Ballpark.
She's doing fine.
Yeah, exactly. And so even now, because Sterling and Peter and I reviewed the Okay Goodnight. The day after it.
I watched
came
that
out.
video.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, and we talked about it before, and so at this point in time, unless she had a birthday recently, which I am unsure of. But she's 20 for that.
Nice. And
give or take, in that ballpark.
19 or 20,
So, like, she'll be... so Casey Lee will be
20.
Volume 6, it was...
18?
Yeah. Well, it'll be 19. Volume 7 stuff that was probably being recorded now will be 20-ish.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What
math is hard.
Math is hard. I don't do numbers.
We're musicians. We're not musicians.
I know time signature's not math. I'm sorry.
Same thing. I can count in 7/8, but don't ask me to do actual arithmetic. No.
Not in my head, at least.
This is the prog musician.
I
don't like to count.
It's fine. The B section, or at least the quiet section, It always, and it's the same with the Volume 1 OST. It reminds me of lullabies. Like, it's set up with, like, a really simple piano reduction of whatever's happening, and the voice is so much quieter, but that kind of pensive divergence from the, you know, the hard and fast, like, fast lyrical pace, fast rock tempo. It's not a new tactic, but I think, once again, it's done very expertly here to give the palate a quick rest before brushing back into it. Now I think I brought that up because I just like how she uses her voice in the quiet sections just as much as the loud.
If you like the lullaby idea, wait till we get to the last track.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like her head voice is just as pleasing to listen to as her chestier notes that happen towards the top of her range. And as I say that, you can do head notes in any of that range.
Well, yeah, but what I like about it sometimes is it sounds belty.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not forced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just on the edge where you can tell it's raw for all the right reasons.
Yes.
As opposed to being overly reserved or trying to push too hard.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like she's hurting herself by trying to go past what her body can do. Yeah.
And I have a big appreciation for anyone that can make something sound raw, but not necessarily controlled, but it's rides on that edge, because there's a certain amount of, like, I mean, I'm a Janis Joplin fan too, so but like,
so you like the grittiness?
Well, but yeah, I mean, because it sounds, culture's not even the right word. It sounds more authentic to an emotional state, as opposed to being controlled and reserved about it, hoping that it comes across in just the lyrics or just the presentation's a big deal. And so,
and it's also to be said that, like, it's called a fine line for a reason. It's very easy to attempt to ride that line, and myself included, just to fall and, like, have your voice crack, like, not be able to put out those notes, have you flip into head voice inadvertently. Not being able to ride that line is much more common than being able to stay on the line and give that, that raw emotion without, stumbling over yourself vocally.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I like this song.
But yeah.
If you're wondering what just happened, I just pulled up the next video, but we haven't started it yet. So.
I didn't say anything.
I know.
I'm not doing spoiler stuff this time. I learned my lesson last time. Fucking Zibbit.
Where I got the videos from was from FlyntofRWBY, who has a YouTube page, obviously. He's got his contact with Williams so that the lyrics are always correct.
Like spelling and everything.
Yeah, I mean, down to, like, I'm sure, like, the proper spelling. If there's kind of a play on words or something, it's part of it, maybe. The artwork is just friends of his or people that he's found and he's got permission from to use the artwork for the video. Sometimes, from what I understand, the artwork matches really well because he kind of has the inside story of, like, well, this tune is actually about this, and people thought it was about that, so I'm going to put the kind of the correct artwork there to kind of give that nod in the right direction. Yeah. And there's one in here that seems like it could go, like, there's what it was actually written for, there's the way that people kind of thought about it, what the meaning would be, and then there's kind of a secondary meaning that's like, well, it would totally fit that too, even though it's not. So yeah, just a heads up about where the videos are coming from and everything.
Sure.
So on to the next one.
Yeah, let's
do it. So this one's Die.
Die. There we go. Yeah! Chromatics!
Right?
Yeah. Ah!
I like this song. There it is.
Yeah.
God, that's good.
I knew you'd like this.
That's really good. There's a lot more seventh harmonies in this song. I love that so much.
I love the pinch harmonics in this.
Nice sequence.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
That feels very Deathclock-esque to me. That guitar solo felt very Deathclock-esque, which I'm a huge fan of.
No, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved everything about this. Ah.
It's funny. There's almost. There is almost too much going on.
Almost.
But yeah.
And I don't mean that as a slight.
Like it feels frantic on purpose, but I think.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things where the only thing that means to me is I'll just need to listen to it a couple more times and like hear the parts. But if someone were to play this for me on the first go around, like, hey, I want you to hear this tune, I would try and catch as much as possible, but I don't think I could give it like a completely fair shake unless I knew what I was listening for sometimes, or unless does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because like the harmonies are like super thick. I don't mean from like, I don't mean this the wrong way. I don't mean from a layman's term kind of scenario. I'm just talking about, as a musician, like
no, yeah.
There's a lot of layers happening.
There's a lot of layers, and I want to know what they all are. So the first listen to me, I'm like, okay, I caught that. Oh, all right. Well, I was catching that. I didn't catch that. I want to go back and listen to that again. So it's super thick and
thick caca.
It's you said this in the last one, in the last video about Volume 1, that there is the weird thing about this music is that it doesn't particularly, it borrows from lots of things, but it doesn't sound
like any of them,
like anything else.
Yes.
And it's one of those, if someone could figure this out as like okay, well, I'm going to write a tune about XYZ thing. It has nothing to do with the show, nothing to do with the movie. But I'm just going to write a song about this subject, but I'm going to try and do this style. It's kind of like there's no way out of it. You would, like, someone somewhere would find something cool about it, even if they didn't like all of it, because it just kind of takes from...
Yeah, it's a beautiful amalgamation of genres and styles and approaches.
It borrows a lot, yeah, for sure.
But not, it never, to me, at least to me, none of the songs I've heard from any of the soundtracks have that kitchen sink approach. Like, it doesn't feel like he's trying to do too much or using too much. It's all done tastefully and proportionally, and it's...
Nor does he rest too much on the laurels of one tech. Like, he keeps moving, and so it doesn't. Well, it doesn't sound repetitive. That's it's the versatility and variety of whatever he's using.
Well, and there's always
fresh.
Well, so far in both these tunes, there's always been kind of a break in the middle to give your brain arrest for like
just a second.
2 to 4 measures before it like pulls back in or something like that.
Unless you're tired of really strong guitars, then you may find it repetitive. But you had to be talking to a panel of people who love like a good guitar lead.
Yeah, and a good metal sound.
Oh,
yeah, well, and to be fair, all 3 of us really like metal anyway.
Yeah.
So all of our background disciplines with music are
we'd be classical musicians, but
different
and metalheads.
But yeah.
If you couldn't tell, we do look like the music we listen to. There was so much chromatic movement in this piece. The chromatic lines, they moved up, they moved down, and yeah, I don't have to expound a whole lot on it, but I specifically chromatic movement is always subversive. People don't see it coming usually,
right?
And so I just think that just adds like that's flavor.
Yeah, that the harmonies that were descending chromatically on that repetitive line.
Yes,
I knew you were going to keep that up.
Yes. And as I said before, they started. There's more sevenths in that songs, so you get the third and the fifth harmonies to fill out the triad, but then you have the seventh, which is supposed to clash with either the tonic or usually the melody note, and it's that tasteful dissonance.
The consonant dissonance.
Thank you. Consonant dissonance that really
school terms. That's a buzzword if ever there was one.
It's the sprinkles on the donut. You didn't know you needed it, but when you hear it, you're like, oh, this is so much better.
There's something you mentioned a second ago, and I had a thought in my head, and then you said school terms. I laughed, and I totally forgot what I said.
Consonant dissonance.
Yeah, no. Well,
seventh chromatic movement.
Yeah, it was before that.
Crunching with the harmony. I don't
know. If it's important, I'll remember it later. I'll just pause the video in the middle of it and be like, wait,
I remember! Was there anything
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I don't think there's much else.
Well played.
Right.
Everybody gets one. So.
I don't know if it needs analysis or anything, but the songs the song starts on E minor, and there's a point in the pre-chorus where it just rolls all the way down to A flat major, which is the point of that is that it's a tritone jump.
Yeah.
And it's super subversive, which is why it might stop at like C major.
It's actually a diminished fourth, so that's the enharmonic for actually a major third. E minor to A flat.
Oh no, it is. You're right. It is a major or minor. Yeah, sorry, I'm a bit off on that. Well, the chordal jump is still very
it's still like
unexpected.
Still, yeah.
Even though it may stop at like C major or minor on the way over, it's a diminished jump, and it threw me off guard when I heard it. Which is why, if you'll see in the video, I just started going like from this to this.
Yeah, because you still have a lot of non-similar chord tones, which is why you're just kind of thrown off for a second.
Well, as a prog musician, I'm just like, I love
this.
There it is. As much as you rag on me for it, listening to prog metal, and I was going to say something how if I didn't listen to prog music, I would have to listen to that 3 or 4 times.
Oh yeah,
because the setup was very frantic and very involved, and I was just like, oh, some of the music I listen to forces you to move your mind at 5 different places.
So he's like, all right, put the seat up.
Just like,
right,
go.
Yeah, and that's one of the
cerebralness is ready to go.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things that is always interesting is that's one of the reasons why even like my students, I'm like, so what music do you listen to? Oh, I listen to this and this. Okay, look, here's an entire list of other things. And it's like, you're not going to become a better trombonist or a trombone player by listening to this band. Right. However, if you can start to pick this stuff out as you're listening and hearing like what's going on in the layers, when you go play Beethoven, when you go play Schubert, or
even Mozart, you can hear the different layers better.
Yeah, you can all of a sudden you can pick, because this, for lack of a better term, like that type of tune, it's very crowded.
Yes. Oh yeah,
it's a very crowded party.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's a lot of Baroque orchestral works that are very crowded because you have like your super contrapuntals. You don't just have.
But what's happened is over all the years is like music has gotten away from that, and it's gotten simpler. Not because people are just simple, but there's
change.
Sometimes.
Well, but there's a market for if your job is to sell the music,
Yeah.
That's why, you know, people really catch on to something that's simple quicker. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's bad. It's just, you know, it's simpler.
It's simple.
Easier to hold on to, yeah.
But then you try and give them something else, like you try and give them something Mike Patton wrote, you know, like Mr. Bungle or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's noise. And it's like, well, it's not. It's just, it's really thick. And if you're not used to concentrating or hearing all that at once, then it sounds kind of out there.
Yeah.
You know, so
part of the reason why Rite of Spring created the Rite is because there were so many layers of things happening. You're just like, it's just this cacophony of I can't process what's going on, so I'm just going to scream and run out the theater.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be fair. Rite of Spring was a little bit more, not more about
crazy,
but it was, wow, this sounds like a whole lot of mess going on. I can't follow it. This is making me uncomfortable. And they're sacrificing a teenage girl on the stage, basically.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, she's dancing herself to death. So, I mean,
So, you know.
Well, the short of it...
still.
Stravinsky, the original metal musician.
Truly.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to give it up. But the short of it is that ever you have the interest or desire to kind of increase your musical palette, just start looking for music. Like, if you can hear a song and you can immediately find all the layers in it, great. Look for things that start having more. Mm-hmm. It's a bit confusing at first, but the more you start looking for layers, the more you'll find them. You'll start to pick up bass lines in a song, or you'll start to be able to pick out a guitar against an entire ensemble.
Yeah, like I'll be at a restaurant, like, you know, Arby's or something, they have music playing, I'll be with friends, and I'll start singing not the melody and not the bass line, and they're just like, what do you, like,
I can hear
and predict where it's going to go, even if I don't really know the song.
Thing. Yeah. So, and it's fun. I mean, that's half the fun of being a musician, is being able to read the language and start picking out some of the voices that not everybody hears.
And non-classical music has influenced a lot of my compositions. Like, you know, I use a lot of...
He's a composer.
I'll use crunchy chords and, you know, rhythmic. There's a kind of a shout-out. The first movement of my second symphony, the main rhythm of that song is based off of the song Blood Meat by Protest the Hero. Like, there's a section of that song where this is just like ba 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 that happens, and I was like, my brother showed it to me, and I was really just like, I'm writing this down, and I'm using this later. And so when I played it, when I had it played in Puerto Rico a couple years ago, one of the bassists comes to me and goes, where did you get the music for this? I was like, oh, it's this song. And I pulled it up. She goes, I love that song. I knew it. And I was just like, hey, there's one person. There's one person. So
I love that.
That's more than just one genre of music out there, boys and girls.
There are many rhythms like this, but this one is mine.
But it's not, because I absolutely stole that rhythm from someone else.
Exactly.
We can't really steal a rhythm.
Exactly. That's why I did it.
It's free real estate.
Yeah, rhythm.
Wow. Really?
Moving on.
Let's go to the next song. This one's called Shine.
Shine.
So it's this one will be obvious, but it is a bit of a genre departure from the first two.
We love a good genre departure.
Just FYI.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's not really a warning, just a friendly, like, hey. Before you hear it, you're like, what the hell?
I was going to say, I'll turn to you and just be like, what are you doing?
Why are you doing this to me? No, it's like,
all right. What is happening?
So let's try it out.
It's an F sharp minor. I like it.
Oh my god.
Hooray!
It's his favorite key.
That's the nerdiest thing I think I've said.
Well, and you'll recognize this where it was too in the
right.
In the volume.
But the funky bass line, though.
Yep.
A little bit of Moog, never hurt anybody.
I like a little Moog.
I'm not going to guess where it is because I've got the propensity to guess wrong.
Say again?
He can't guess where it's from.
I'm not going to guess where it's from because I'm going to guess wrong.
No. It's, you got to wait until...
I see.
Like the B section per se.
See, a lot of this is head voice, and it's so pretty. I'm glad she's making good use of it.
Obviously, this is Pyrrha. Her point of view.
Yeah. Kind of disco-esque strings in the back.
Yeah.
This would be the dance scene, right? Auto-tune the crap out of it.
More!
Give it some effects. I can't get over the bass line.
It's so funky.
Oh, there it is.
All the Bee Gees.
I forgot I had this headphone off my ear. I was like, where? Oh, there it is.
Right. That's.
Exactly.
Ah.
Yeah.
The arpeggiated
Little
synth.
details.
Ah, it's the details. The details.
It's the diddles.
The diddles. As my voice teacher would say.
Yep.
The details. It's all in the details.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that major finish. Like they end on a major chord.
Yeah.
What is love?
Baby, don't hurt me. And disco.
I'd almost listen to that one sometimes, probably more than other songs in the soundtrack. Like I could put that on.
It's definitely a bop. Like you. Can
It's a bop. Oh, for sure. But I could put that on behind work that I'm doing just as easily as I could a rock track.
Oh yeah, it's very not uplifting. What's the word I'm looking for? Energized. You could listen to it and it gives you some.
Right.
It gives you energy.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly isn't uplifting at the end of Volume 3.
Right.
It's like, oh, this is a real...
They're going there. Okay.
This is my favorite song. Not anymore.
Yeah.
I love that. I all the disco.
Mm-hmm.
All the disco.
It's all the good parts of disco.
Yes. There are many bad parts about
good parts of disco.
There are many tiring things about disco, but not that. The arpeggiated synths, the strings.
Sort of wind chime-esque kind of thing going on. The strings are one of my favorite parts of that whole song.
Yeah.
It's like, I love disco strings.
Exactly.
Like, I hate disco, but I love
the
disco strings.
Strings. Always starting the chorus on a seventh, just to give you, once again, more of that consonant dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
See, I'm always focused in on... My ear is always focused lower. Right?
It makes sense.
So,
no, once I catch a bass line, I usually put it to the back.
Yeah.
But I do acknowledge it first.
Yeah. It's funny because, you know, you hear the guitar parts, you hear the strings and everything else, and lower pitches don't carry as far.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
I sing
to the ear.
I sing bass.
Well, yeah.
I get it.
And so it's usually something that kind of sits in the background. But then you realize that, like, if you could see the bass player in the studio,
he's going crazy.
Yeah, you're just like going. You're just like, all right, well,
they're working their ass off
for
yeah, you know.
You're just like, well, all right.
So anytime that like it's kind of dialed up a little bit, or like I could stand to hear just a hair more of it, say in the mix kind of thing,
right?
Yeah.
But they didn't cast it aside either. I mean, all this stuff is mixed.
But that's also
really
like personal
well.
touch. Like you would rather hear it, but then also. I don't know if that would actually even do anything to the song if it were mixed up a little bit more.
As a fan of funk, I feel like it would, because funk is disco with the bass in front.
Well, yeah,
because
like disco and funk and stuff like that, you're getting the style from the bass,
yes,
more than you are the guitar, or you know.
Right, but there are other songs in the other volumes that are funk too, right? Like, isn't there another one that's sort of funk?
I mean, there's other nods to things and stuff like that. But
this one felt more disco than funk to me. But
no.
I had heard
that was disco. That was definitely disco.
It's just normal, like in disco, you can kind of tell it. The lower the line, it almost seems sometimes, the more complex it is. Because I mean, what's the joke with disco? It's the wah guitar, like you know, like on the top of everything, and so you listen down, and they are not my favorite band. They're my friend Will's favorite band. They're not my favorite band, but Kiss is similar. Where the bass line is way more complex than what's going on up top. And
there's a lot of Iron Maiden songs the same too. That bass line is sometimes.
Do I need to mention Rush? That's the easy out.
Who?
Rush.
Just kidding.
Who? I don't know why I fell for that so easily, but I did.
I appreciate it though.
That was good. That was good. You fooled me. Who?
I mean,
Who is a different group?
Exactly.
Yeah. Who's on? Oh, I'm not even going to do it.
That's a rabbit hole.
So
we don't need.
Was that song attributed to Pyrrha?
So
was it seemed like it was spoken in her voice?
Yes, to my knowledge, yeah. So because
point of view, I think was hers.
Yeah.
So she's addressing Jean.
Yeah.
But that was the music for the dance scene.
Yeah, I just find it funny that they gave the character of I guess, scene and context makes the most sense, but I just find it funny that the most warlike and the representation of Achilles is given
the disco
to work with. It's very cross.
Well, we'll use that for a segue, because if that's your opinion on that one,
I just think that's funny.
That, so this one, still from Pyrrha's point of view.
Yes.
To Jean again, right? Or not to him specifically, but I'm totally going to get raked over the coals for that, because it's her inner dialogue.
Yes.
And
what he represents for her, I think, is more.
Well, it's her inner dialogue. It's not her addressing him per se, but it's like say inner dialogue. But yet another genre departure.
Ah, yes.
Even again. I guess Volume 2 would be the most amount of
eclecticism,
experimental.
If you were to turn RWBY into a musical,
good point.
Volume 2.
I hope that doesn't happen.
RWBY on Broadway.
No. I mean, but Volume 2 has the most genre departures and kind of mixed things or whatever,
like fast, slow,
where you could
or a mixed bag at least.
Yeah, where depending on the character and depending on the situation, it changes enough where there's that variation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like West Side Story. You've got 4 genres within West Side Story, depending on who's doing what and everything. Like this would be kind of like that same overall idea of doing that. So
it's a healthy balance,
and variety is the spice of life.
I like that drawing though. It's good drawing.
Weiss makes a one-word appearance in here that is at the perfect moment. That's just hilarious.
Of course.
Because I guess that's another tradition we're going with. Or another thing that was done first on this track, but
happens later.
Yeah, there's other, RWBY shows up on a track that deals with Yang later in a similar kind of thing or whatever.
Well, it's cute. It's almost character development, even though it's kind of half canonical.
Right.
Yeah.
It's flavor, but it's flavor that fits inside the character.
Yeah. Because you could see this conversation happening with the response that the person has or something.
Yeah, so this one is called Dream Come True.
Yeah, like I said, genre departure.
I've been watching you lately, chasing your tail, and it drives me crazy. You'll never get that girl.
It's actually pretty funny in general. Like the.
All right. All right, bass. Now it's easy to hear the bass line too. Yeah.
Yeah. Fretless, no doubt. I think this is the first time you hear a horn line.
I think
in
so.
any of the volumes.
Oh, what a good way to start!
I think. Which I'm a sucker for a horn line because that's what I get paid to do.
Ooh, and it's good too.
That's why I want to know who plays it.
It's not 5 notes. It's
like, who's this group?
It's a whole line.
So here you go.
Gotta love Jeff Williams' backup vocals. It's adorable.
Yeah, it's a little kitsch where you're like, okay.
That's where it's kind of Broadway-esque. Where like,
It
one
is
person's just
very
like, hey, like fourth wall breaking for that song.
It's very musical theater in the lyrical presentation.
Yeah.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, I didn't think a guitar solo would fit so well inside this format. I have been proven wrong. Huh.
Yeah, and then he shreds at the end of it.
I love that. I love that so much. Yes, tambourine. Yeah.
Remember, it's the details.
That cutout is where the whole crowd is just like, ah! What a bop. Good job. Good for you. Come on, Death King. Bruno Mars is one of the easiest examples of someone who's brought this back into pop.
Yeah.
Of recent, or at least that I noticed. I could be missing a name or 3, but I noticed Bruno when he puts this kind of bop back into pop.
This definitely has that broad. Notice. Oh my God! Notice me, Sensei. This definitely has that Broadway pop kind of feel to it, but like again, it's all the best parts of these different genres that are being brought together with that kind of rock metal like underlay. Because that guitar normally wouldn't be in that kind of, or that kind of guitar solo wouldn't normally, at least from what I tell, wouldn't normally be in that kind of song.
Right. Well, one of the funny things to me always is when you have horn lines like that, they're supportive and they're in the background, you know. But what most people don't understand is like the range that those guys are playing
is ridiculous.
You cannot do that quietly.
Yeah.
So when that horn line, when those guys, gals, whoever was playing, are sitting in the studio like playing that, it is like deafeningly loud because that range has to, you know, to try and do that quietly is even more out of tune, harder to do.
Yeah, it won't sound good.
Yeah, and you're not getting the same tone quality that you want to get
with all that air
to make it fit.
Yeah,
like what should be. So those kind of lines are like super loud, and they just turn them down so they mix well. But that's also why it's hard to do that kind of stuff live. Because it's like
they come in, you're just like, all right, oh,
hey,
yeah. So on a stage, you might have like a rock band with like some trumpets and horns or something like that, or some other, like if this was being done live, let's say, you've got a horn line over there that's playing this stuff, and they're like turning red, like just belting out this stuff. But whoever the sound guy is like, I want to turn them down in the mix for everything else. But if you were standing in front of them, you would be like going deaf.
Yeah, that's why whenever you see that, like there's like the singers and like the backup singers, they're just like they're on the side of stage.
Yeah,
like they're over here,
way over there.
The island of Ow.
There is a reason why those guys are always separated. Like that.
Not just for an aesthetic. It's
for self-preservation.
It's for preservation.
But yeah, the tune in general is like I said, genre departure. But it's they're able to weave in and out with other things still.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh, that guitar solo was so tasty. Yeah. It was so good.
And normally wouldn't fit in that type of song.
It wasn't even the clean. Like there are more ways you can write a clean guitar line with like the timbre of it. You can go much more like faded into the texture. That stuck out more than like. If I were
slightly distorted and there were a couple pinch harmonics, like it wasn't.
If I were to try to compose something, I wouldn't use that guitar sound because I thought it wouldn't work, and yet that worked really well.
Right. Yeah. What's the old? I can't remember if it was Shostakovich or somebody, but there was the composer was not always the happiest with what they did, like the.
I don't know of any composer that's ever like happy with
but I mean, it's really specific to like
Berlioz.
It just doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
Berlioz,
and then they end up then an orchestra that's performing it, that conductor's taking it say 30 clicks or 40 clicks faster, such as like Bernstein with Shostakovich kind of thing, and so
that would never happen.
And so but Shostakovich or whoever is. That the story was about. I can't remember which composer it was. After the fact, when they heard it, they're like, "Oh, yeah, it just needed to be faster." Like they wrote what they wanted.
It was just too slow.
But it wasn't working right. But they didn't think that maybe 20 clicks faster would fix it.
I would have thought of that either.
Exactly.
Like you're just like, all right, fix the voicings, change the instrumentation. Exactly. You don't think, just speed it up.
Right. But it's along those same lines of sometimes it's just. There's that one thing where you're like, I don't think that's going to fit. And then
you're just like,
and it turns out that, like the guitar, like what you were saying.
That's exactly what it needed.
I'm not going to put that in there. I don't think this isn't that kind of song.
Right.
But then someone decides to throw it in there when they're covering it.
Yeah.
Like 10 years later, and you're like, man, because I know there are bands out there like, shit, I wish I had thought of that.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I think of that, putting that in my own damn song?
Or better, it's just like, I threw that away. I had that as a choice.
Yeah. It's like with like 9 Inch Nails, like when Johnny Cash covered Her, 9 Inch Nails gave the rights to the Cash estate because they're just like, oh no, his is way better.
That was so much better. Right.
He was like, no, that's way better than ours. You see where's now.
Well, that's also why I like the quote from that situation that I like, and I think it was Reznor that was saying it was, yeah, I'm just not going to let anyone cover anything ever again because it's like I mean, if he did say that, it's probably half jokingly too. I don't know, but
right.
It may have been like some tongue in cheek, but just like, all right, no, this is.
But yeah, there is that thing of like the things that you don't think will fit together. Don't assume that they're not until you try it, and you do it 6 or 7 different ways. And
all 6 or 7 ways fail, then you can put it to rest. But it is worth thinking about. I don't know what that kind of like pep in your step jazz feel to that song was, but I always...
I feel like a Broadway anthem to me.
Something like that.
It's like slightly anthemic to me.
It doesn't need a label, but I think you know what I'm getting at. The jazzy influence where, everything's given an upper 7-11. But, right. Plus like a ska horn section, kind of, sort of.
Well, I think that only really works when you're talking like adding like 7s 9s, 11s into like a chord or whatever. To just put that in the guitar part, it doesn't work that way. You got to take those notes and put them on another layer.
Yeah.
So sticking those in the
back.
So sticking those in the horn line.
Yes.
You know, it works, but if you were to try and actually like, okay, so we've got 2 guitarists and we've got a bass player or whatever, and you try to fit all those notes within that, which I consider like guitar 1 layer, bass 1 layer, and the bass is usually with the drums as a layer,
right?
That kind of thing.
And then you have like a synth maybe as another layer.
But if you try and fit all of that into just 2 layers, it gets really crowded.
Yeah, it's too thin.
And you start blowing things out into like, okay, well here's some harmony voices, like. You know, vocals,
yeah.
But then also there's harmony voices within like a horn line, but it's not just like a trumpet.
You got like 2 trumpets, 2 saxes, a trombone. Like, there's 5 more voices. Like, all right, cool. Like
we can put them here.
We could do like.
What if we took all the?
If you want to see a really good example of that, look up. There's a horn arranger.
Oh yeah,
Jerry Hay.
Yes.
Who.
So good.
Yeah, like
so good.
Everything is gold. So he like the Jerry Hay horns. Like, so they will add into a track to another band. Or to, like, this guy's writing a song, you know, or this band's doing a thing. We want to add a horn line. Okay, get the Jerry Hay horns to it. And don't even write the horn line. Let Jerry just write it.
Yep.
Give him the track and let him just add on what he wants to add on top. And
you'll like it, trust me, you're fine.
In fact, I will put a link to one of those videos in the description.
Yeah.
So that you can actually see, and it's
the studio one you were showing me?
Yeah, so what it is a friend of mine, acquaintance of mine, actually wrote out what the horns are doing.
That's right, that video.
So you can follow along. It's the whole song that's playing, but it's just the 6 horn parts that you can see. So if anyone out there reads music and wants to see what that actually kind of looks like when you're putting stuff like that together.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, long diatribe.
The next one is going to be for Matthew.
Caffeine. Wait, I know when this showed up in the season. I think
this would be Ooblek's song.
Oh,
well, yeah. I mean, it starts when Ooblek comes out of the ground in the mech.
Yeah,
yes.
But it's really related to Team Coffee.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just remember when sweet old bunny ears starts going around. I can't.
Oh, in Volume 3
and 2.
Oh yeah.
She doesn't do as much, but I just remember whenever I see the bunny ears, I expect Caffeine.
Velvet.
Yes,
Velvet. Thank you. That's hold on, let me bring this up because I thought I clicked on it twice and I didn't. And you know, as far as I'm concerned, Velvet is best girl.
Yes,
fight me.
Velvet equals best girl.
I'm on the Nora train still. Nora is best girl for me.
Well, then you're gonna love this.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, it's not like I have one favorite character in the whole show. It's not that kind of like best thing. This is what I'm referring to anyway. So, but yeah, as far as like the list of like characters that stick out to me because of all of Team Coffee, but I want to know this entire backstory. I want to see the dynamic of those 4 people living in that dorm room when they first get to the same.
Oh,
I want to know their year 1 story.
Yeah,
like,
that would
give
be
me
fun.
that year 1 story.
It's because their personalities seem very.
Because they're year 3, I think at this point.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but their personalities seem to like. That's an interesting mesh.
Right.
With the giant guy with the sword.
Katsuhachi.
Yeah, I mean, you got
bold choice, right? Yeah.
So
and then Gatling gun girl, and then
I want to see Gatling gun like
Coco.
Yeah.
I want to see Gatling gun like ride on Katsuhachi's back, just holding the gun.
Now you got me thinking about Thunderdome.
Yes.
What was it, Master Blaster?
Yes.
Oh God.
Anyway, sorry. So yeah, Caffeine
featuring Lamar Hall.
Yeah, so there is a hip hop breakdown of this one.
I'm prepared,
but
I mean, it fits this one a little more.
No, it's fine.
No, I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying like it's there.
No, I'm ready. Oh, that bass.
I like this artwork that they chose for this too.
Oh, it's cute.
Obviously, she's taking
get it?
a selfie
I was
with the
gonna
camera.
say, yeah. I get the reference.
Yeah.
See, it's a selfie.
Montage.
It's a
3,
selfie.
2, 1. Yes. You get the ref. Look at you. Oh my god. These lyrics are something else.
I appreciate the Otis Redding reference.
Yeah, that's good. Call the morgue. I'm... Never, not in my lifetime, could I write lyrics like this. Good job, Jeff. Who does he sound like?
Gotta make a note before I forget.
I'm almost trying to keep up with all the lyrics more so than listen to the music, because I'm just like, there's so much to so much to read. But another kudo to Jeff and Casey Williams. The amount of words they fit into songs is a ridiculous amount of words.
Yeah,
there's a lot of lyrics.
They get a lot of lyrics in some of these songs. Very mouthy.
Yes. Oh yes. Do earbuds in. Alright. Yeah, this one fits better, in my opinion. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's cute. It's cute.
I just realized something. I'll say it after we're done.
Yeah.
So, the thing that I was thinking of, like right there at the end, was the whole song is about caffeine, obviously, or that kind of like supercharged or whatever.
Yes.
And then when Lamar comes in, it's, what kind of coffee you want? I mean, it's basically like everything he said was basically like
he's the barista.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just kind of this weird hitch of like, I don't know if that was. But the thing at the beginning that I wrote a note about so I wouldn't forget, that opening, because that opening line is distorted bass.
Oh yeah,
right. Instead of,
I love me some distorted
guitar,
bass.
Right? And so, and I almost the pacing of this tune, and the opening with that
very Beastie Boys to me.
Well, the distorted bass. But that very specific, like, I don't even know if it's in the same key, but that same, not even style. It's
effect.
I'm not with words today. That's all right. But that same feel, along with like the pace of the song or whatever, and considering the attitude of the other group that I'll mention, I wonder how much of this really seems something similar to Ace of Spades.
Some
Motorhead.
Well, but that opening kind of reminds me of Beastie Boys a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not. I'm just talking about like because Ace of Spades opens up with Lemmy on distorted bass.
Yeah,
and then
super dirty distorted bass.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what
that was. Yeah.
Very much. I mean, it's like it's almost like you can hear the
physical vibration of the string hitting it.
So when the string's moving and it's in bass, it's like if it's a wide enough vibration, your pick might not hit. If you're playing with a pick, it might not hit on the upswing of the string or whatever. It might be a little bit down.
Oh yeah.
And so the timing is just not quite exact. It sounds good and it's very purposeful and I like it because it's a style thing.
I like it and it sounds good.
But it didn't really make the connection to me until now, where I was like, holy crap, that's like, it almost seems like it's a little of a shtick to Lemmy.
I almost heard a little bit of Highway Star in that as well.
Of Hawkwind? I'm just kidding.
No, like melodic phrasing, and a lot of it sort of felt like highway. I'm a highway star a little bit throughout parts of it to me.
The vocal line reminded me of Def Leppard, just because their use of gang vocals, but that's just me.
And don't get us wrong, we're not trying to like pigeonhole this.
Like, no. Just
with every other band.
That's what like my brain was just like. But it reminded me of this.
What fires off the synapses when we hear this?
Well, these are all songs that we like, by the way, that we're listening. We're not.
Yes, no. Def Leppard is my favorite British band. Second favorite British band. I forgot Haken existed.
Of all the ones to forget,
I know my favorite band.
Your number one band.
Haken is my favorite band.
But yeah, so we're not bashing on anything as much as it is just every composers and songwriters, it's not so much about stealing stuff from somebody else, it's about kind of like attributing,
it's referencing without actually quoting.
Well, I mean, it's attributing something to them. It's like, I really like them, I don't want to give them a tip in the hat. So when I write this tune and I have this guitar solo, or I have this other line or this vocal thing, I like the way this other band did it, and I really think, like, I really want to kind of give them a... And it used to be back in the day, with, like, classical composers and stuff, that was, like, the height of showing your appreciation was actually doing that. It's like...
I still do it.
Well, yeah, songwriters understand that, but audiences usually don't. So audiences are really quick.
Like, they just copied. It's
that just sounds like this other thing, and it's like, well, yeah, but that's because they're fans of they're fans of Led Zeppelin, so they want to do something that's kind of feels like that a little bit,
paying homage and tribute to a band that they love.
Unless the only situation in which that's not true is if all of that's blatantly obvious and you specifically don't pay homage in some way, shape, or form to the predecessor, which I'll easily go out and put on blast. Greta Van Fleet, exceptional band, doesn't tout Robert Plant as one of their influences.
Exactly.
And the only reason they got famous is because Kiddo on the vocals sounds like Robert Plant.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, except like very well made modern rock, but if you don't talk about where you came from, and I don't understand how you could not understand.
Because it's like, they're not one of our influences, but you sound just like them.
There have been videos made where people react to Robert Plant voice and then the singer from Greta Van Fleet's voice, and they're like, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah, they think it's is this a Led Zeppelin tune that was never released?
Exactly.
Is this B-roll?
Yeah.
No.
Anyway.
And well, and Greta Van Fleet catches flack for that,
right?
And it's very unnecessary because they're quality musicians.
Oh yeah,
they sound great. They're all hella young. They're all in their early 20s. It's ridiculous, and they're shooting themselves in the like. If you want to be stubborn and say they're not one of your influences, sure, but you cannot, in good conscience, not say like, oh, the fact that I sound like, Robert Plant, one of the better rock vocalists of his time, is rude. There's something to be said for the artists who came before you, and the influence and the road that they lay down so that you could walk it.
Clearly it's subconscious. Just say, oh yeah, I'm sure probably it was I'm sure there's something there. Like, done. That covers it.
It's so...
Is there anything else about this specific tune?
No, I loved it.
Trying to think if there's anything that I remember.
The high harmonies on Caffeine towards the end made me really happy because I heard high G's, and I think I heard high G's by Jeff, which is rude. It's rude because I want those notes and I'm never going to get them. It's like a G. So there's like the tenor.
Just push harder.
Harder. It's the tenor.
Squeeze. They'll come out.
The coveted tenor. The coveted tenor high C is very much the note that many of us high male voices want, and Jeff can sing a full fifth above that, skrelt it, which is screaming and belting at the same time, and make it sound easy. So it is with a smile.
Super jelly, right?
Right. It is with a smile and full of jealousy that I say that it's amazing, and I want those notes.
Yeah, I can't.
It's ridiculous.
So, like we said before, you watched season or volume 3 the other day, and Team Coffee, like all the people that were left or whatever, obviously they're not in the picture. You know, at the end of volume 3, it's kind of like, okay, so everyone evacuated or whatever. So, and the story, I mean, obviously the story carries on, but it focuses in on, you know, the main characters and stuff like that. So, like, we were introduced to Team Coffee, obviously, in volume 2-ish, you know. And that,
2-ish.
You know, it's funny that, was it, Velvet was in volume 1 briefly, but then she became, like, a fan favorite. And so they kind of, like...
How polite she is, yes.
And then they kind of brought that character back in and all that kind of stuff. Now, whether that was, like, part of the grand scheme, I don't know 100%, but it was one of those things where people really latched onto that character because it was that Cardin was pulling her ears in the cafeteria or whatever. And so you fast forward and you see through volume 3 and you're like, dude, she could just destroy you. Like,
oh my gosh.
She'd just destroy you with your own weapon and your own fighting style.
Yeah.
So I always thought that was kind of funny, like, looking back on it.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's, Velvet's theme.
I can take pictures.
And then kick your ass.
But yeah, I want to see where they run into these guys again, obviously, because the teams after volume 3, the different teams that were involved with the
there's a scattering that I can already tell.
So they all go back to, they kind of allude to it, I guess, in the last episode where, you know, Weiss's dad picks her up, takes her back home, and, you know, Blake's gone. So you kind of assume that these other teams of people are all, like, gone back to their academies and their places and whatever.
Right, because the school is no longer a central point.
Right.
Or at least at the end of 3.
So Coffee was at Beacon.
Yes.
And then, well, they can't stay there, obviously.
Of course.
So, and this really isn't a spoiler because it has nothing to do with any of the storyline yet within the next 3 volumes, but so they transferred to Vacuo to Shade Academy.
Oh, okay.
So that's where they're at. So whether I hope we run into them again because I want to see more of that team dynamic because I thought it was really the way they did in the festival and all that. I thought it was really interesting.
Oh, so we don't see much of them past season 3?
Not 3 through 6,
but
sadness. I want to say like and predict that
they come back.
You'll end up running into those people again as the story pans out through the rest of.
And Velvet's just more of a badass than she already was.
Oh, of course.
I mean, that'd be cool.
I would love that.
But
no complaints.
As long as she doesn't lose her demeanor.
Her quirk, it's her personality is lovely, and for me, her quirk, her weapon, is what put me onto her. Like,
yeah. What's kind of funny? There's a lot of people that react to that, and they get to that, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've never seen what this is," and then that whole scene plays out, and everyone's just flipping their hell.
It's just like, that's what the camera's for.
You'll see in the reactions. The first person to verbalize it is Mary. She's saying it amidst laughter. And I didn't get it until she said it. Like, I didn't catch it visually. Right. Mary's the one who caught it, and then I caught it from her, and I was just like, oh, wow!
Yeah, she was photographing their weapons.
Their weapons, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and Mary's one of the visual artists of the group, so when it comes to, like, catching references, that's why she was, like, the first time she sees Neo, she doesn't even, like, think 5 seconds, she's like, oh, Neapolitan, I get it. And it's like,
I was just like, how?
Yeah. So yeah, whenever she catches something, it's pretty gold because the rest of us are like, I don't understand what you're talking about. All right. So
my eyes are trash. It's my ears that are good.
Okay. Oh, that's it.
All Our Days.
Oh my God. Open. There we go.
Featuring Casey Lee Williams.
Really? That's so strange.
You don't say.
Is she a guest? Is this a guest vocal?
What could it be?
So, this one, I'll give you some, the artwork I think that this one uses, it shows Yang and her dad. So this would be like a tune having to do with that, right? But as far as the show goes, it'll be like, oh, okay, I get the meaning of whatever this. But if I remember hearing it right, from somebody else that this was Jeff, from Jeff's point of view, to Casey.
Aw, how cute.
But then
does Jeff also have a blonde soul patch that does? That's just a slam at Yang's dad.
I know, right?
Just like, a soul patch, really?
Well, you know, he grew up in the 90s. Yang's dad's a Gen Xer. I'm just kidding.
All right, Grandpa.
You're looking at me.
You said from Jackie Chan.
Oh, that's true.
Touche. Oh my god, there's like 7 references deep at this point. So, but there's a third. There's when I first heard this tune without context.
Yeah.
Only knowing that it had to do with the show, but without any kind of context from the composer or anybody else. There's a third thing that always ran through my head that I thought fit really well. So we'll talk about that after. But
okay.
Yeah, Enter Ballad World. I mean, obviously, if it's a father-daughter type tune.
Oh, sweet little like baby Yang. I didn't even think about these kids as like kids.
Oh yeah,
as like wee ones.
They were
like
toddlers once upon a time.
Imagine Ruby's already a sweetie, but imagine Ruby is like 8. You're just like, oh. Goosebumps. How sweet. How sweet. Nothing like a good song that can make you vulnerable. At least it does me. That's really sweet.
I'm glad the little piano interlude didn't last too long. Because that's one of those things where...
Oh, the little cadenza at the end, or just how long it extends
like,
past?
right in the middle. There's just like a little breakup. Because if something like that gets a little too drawn out...
You're just like, right, get back to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the song's only 4.5 minutes, just like any other song. Because the tempo's slower, it feels like it's longer than it is. But if you were to make a 2-minute song, it's like that doesn't work well either. So the other thing that I would say 95% of those lyrics would fit with if this was Yang thinking about Ruby.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Kind of thing. So,
like now or when they were kids?
Well, like...
I imagine if she's thinking about having a younger sister.
Well, like, now reflecting...
Okay.
Kind of scenario. And so that, when I first heard it, I was like, oh, okay, well, that would make total sense.
Yeah.
And then, because at this point in time, obviously, you see the dad for, like, 0.3 seconds in the background.
No words, he's just there.
Yeah. And
even his face is kind of, like, shadowed out.
And that's in volume 3, right? At the beginning.
Yeah, first episode, I think.
And then you see him finally at the end of volume 3. Okay, I get it now. But it's sitting at volume 2, you're like, okay, well, who is this about? I can't figure, like, where does this apply? Because that character hasn't been introduced necessarily to show you. Right. So my first instinct was like...
Yang and Ruby.
Yeah, who would this be? I mean, is there a ship that's happening that I'm not aware of or something? But then, like, it seemed more obvious it would be, like, Yang to Ruby. So
that's how I thought of it at first, too.
Yeah, so... but I never really see anyone talking about that or mentioning that, so I wasn't sure if I was totally out of the loop. Like, in my analysis of it, like, oh, okay, cool, that's between these two. Turns out, nope. Yeah. It's like, what the hell were you thinking?
Oh, ain't that cute? But it's wrong!
Yeah, but it's not right. I'm sorry.
Lord Internet.
This is the song in this soundtrack that I want. I've been waiting to see Matthew's reaction to.
Well, with a title like Boop, I have no idea what's about to happen.
So, genre departure.
Yup.
Okay, so here's what else. So the title comes from... So you remember in Volume 1 where Nora, like, drops out of the tree and, like...
Boop. Yeah. Yes, I do.
Okay. So this is obviously based on that. Or based on
that's why
the word. But the style of the tune, like, it seems really kind of off kilter in like a kind of like, I can't. It's not in a bad way. It's just, this sounds like it's the one thing that doesn't quite fit, but at the same time it's completely reflective of Nora's personality.
Oh boy!
Right. But this is also the one tune on pretty much on any of the volumes that I've heard, music-wise. This would be the most musical theater sounding, like, tune out of all of them.
I picked well.
1 through 6. But also, that would also kind of match, I guess, her, like, the boisterous kind of personality.
Over the top, vibrant personality, yeah.
So I thought it was kind of cool.
I'm excited. Nora is...
And the horn line, there's a horn line in this one too.
Oh,
that I dig, so. Alright, so here we go.
Never knew a time when you weren't by my side. The one thing I could always count.
God, I hope these two eventually get together.
Always there for me. You've been my family. Even when all other hope was gone. But for a while things have seemed so different.
This would be like a solo monologue track in the theater.
Yeah, oh yeah,
kind of thing.
Very show choir.
When did I start to fall for you?
Yeah, if that's not theater.
That's the reaction that I was hoping for.
Okay, that's cute. Yeah, this is hella musical theater. It's somewhere between Waitress and The Wedding Singer. Yeah, those joints are tasty.
I'll remind me later, but like this is happening, and there's a couple other references in here that are Nora specific, that are cool nods that they pulled from the show.
Oh, I think I remember a couple of them.
See? Those are the harmonies you like.
Don't diverge the subject. What's most important right now? I swear to God. Oh my God.
Look at that. Babble.
Jesus, that's a lot of lyrics. Oh, well, Nora's now my super favorite because this is adorable. Cute. That's really cute.
Welcome to my world.
It's so silly. It's very true to character. Good job, Jeff. It's so silly. It's so cute. It's fucking adorable. It's adorable. It's so cute.
But it's like it does really well matching personality.
Yeah,
I've been waiting for this review for you to hear that song. As soon as you said Nora was your favorite, I was like, I need him to hear Boop.
We'll get there eventually.
Just been waiting.
That's so sweet. And kudos to Jeff because there is a talent for being able to put a personality into a song.
True.
Be it how you compose it, how you stack up the chords and the voices, how you write the lyrics, how you speak the lyrics, all of that is more difficult for some composers than people realize. Because some people, you'd look at a character, it's like, I know how to put that into music, and then you get down to the page and you're just like, well, I don't know where to start. That was a beautiful example of just like, Nora, song. So I loved everything about that. That's hella cute.
And
we'll be right back. There's a knock at the door. If it's maintenance.
Here you go. Have a good one.
It's not. Right. It's a. Oh, I know what that is. Is this gonna turn into an unboxing video? No, it's not. Oh. Do not drop my sheet music on the ground. This is Vakai. This is.
As soon as you said unboxing, I was just like, no.
No.
That's a special order hente.
Oh God.
Oh, is that senpai? Is that senpai in a bag?
Oh my God, no!
Did he finally notice you?
You need to stop. It's Vakai. It's one of the Vakai's. Are we showing it to the camera? Vakai is one of the.
Sure.
It's one of the. fundamental like vocal etude exercises that you can do.
So it's like the 24 Italian pop songs, but like the next step up?
No, it's like Hanon for piano.
See, the funny part about this is it's for soprano or tenor.
Yeah.
Which means they have to cage fight.
Thunderdome!
Knowing the personality of soprano and tenors, they have to fight to see who's best.
Well, you think
who's best girl to...
Well, if we're going by history, sopranos die more often than tenors in opera, so the tenor's probably going to win.
Yeah.
But he's just going to have a really long, melancholy song afterwards.
You're going to win. It's just going to take 3 hours.
And you'll have to one eye see and then probably stab yourself afterwards.
It's tiny little arias that are technically built for you to improve your technique.
Unless it's Salome, then you're screwed.
Yes. Which is happening this season.
Head on a platter, son.
Dance of
that ain't no visual effects. That's real.
Yeah.
Dance of the Seven Veils.
We really did capitate a tenor and put him on a...
They're also supposed to build on each other like calculus. Math equation. Calculus. I'm not subscribing.
So you're saying you have.
I'm not.
Where did you get this unholy acting talent?
I'm not subscribing to your terrible jokes. It's like math; it builds on itself.
Like calculon.
Oh my lord.
That is not the reference I expected to hear today.
No,
but I'm here for it. And I'm glad that it happened.
It's my #1 favorite show, so I will always take the opportunity to slide in a Futurama reference whenever I can.
Touche.
That's fair.
Right now, Matthew is definitely feeling like the professor. He doesn't want to live on this planet anymore.
Good news, everyone.
I've invented
I'm trapped between
I perfected the plague.
Good news. I'm trapped between two jackasses. Facts.
Yeah.
No, it's not that bad.
Yes, it is.
It is not.
Well, we'll fix that.
Don't. Do not. I'm comfortable wearing
now that we know where the bar is set.
Don't worry, I'm taller than the bar.
Okay. So moving on
to the last track of the album,
which is Sacrifice. Now here's the shtick about this. I think this shows up at some point in time in Volume 2. I think it's like a closing tune.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a ridiculous amount of foreshadowing to the point where there's things that are like hinted at in the tune that, and the only reason why I wanted to wait until you saw Volume 3 before like reviewing this is because if I remember correctly, this is from Salem's point of view, but you wouldn't know who that was yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just having watched Volume 2, like it wouldn't make sense, right? But the foreshadowing in this is crazy, which makes me wonder again, how far out do they have everything like really planned out? I mean, they might have 14 volumes planned out for all I know. I don't know. But like, how far out does it go? Because the bits of foreshadowing that happen in here and like little references and things, there's not really, you could say it's spoilery, but there's not enough detail to give you an actual spoiler.
Until you see the future seasons.
But you don't even get half the references until Volume 6.
Oof.
Like, so it really, like, some of them are sooner and they kind of pile in, but there's certain ones where it's...
Which is why it's not so spoilery, because you're subconsciously, you kind of forget about it.
So it's that character.
So this is from that person's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That in Volume 2 that you haven't even seen yet. That's why it's kind of like,
well, it doesn't. I barely have seen her in Volume 3. We got all of 2 frames of her.
Yeah.
Just we got 1 head turn.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't worry. Volume 4 will open up and make sense.
Oh, I bet it will. This will be interesting.
But that sound that just came from outside, I thought I had pushed a button by accident.
Yeah, I thought you did too. I was just like
that's not how this song begins.
Right.
No, it was just someone deciding to rev their engine.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Talking about
bass.
Also talking about lullabies earlier. You'll appreciate some of this. This artwork doesn't quite match, I don't think 100%, but that's alright. But there's some great harmonies in here too that I know you'll appreciate.
Like that one.
trapped inside a maze. Seek the lives of those you need. Throw the death and break the sea. Reap the seed.
That's weird.
I love it.
Were not worth the price they paid. Even with the lives
Very sort of
they
like
stole,
children's
still no
creepy
closer
songs.
to your goal.
That's the lullaby I thought you'd like.
It kind of reminds me of like all the horror movies, like the 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. They kind of like creepy children's songs.
Oh, it's hella. It's very horror.
There's good belty stuff in there though, too.
Yeah, there is. Okay. Well, the song certainly breeds more questions than it does answers.
Yeah.
That's the point.
I know. This song is also a great example of vocal suspensions. I could talk about it forever. But what I will say is that so it's very obvious even for those who listen to it that there's many times where Casey Lee sits on a note and it's like, this isn't in the key, this sounds wrong, or like it sounds very off of what's going on. That's because so the song's in A minor most of the time when she's doing the dissonances, and a suspension is when you hold on to a note that's like very obviously not in the key and you slide into the key, so it goes from being like not comfortable to listen to comfortable to listen to. But there's also tons of times where she just sits on the uncomfortable note all the way to the end of the phrase, and there's no resolution, which is great because it sets you on edge, and I like it. I'm used to that dissonance, but just like it sounds great. There's also one time before the first chorus where this is super nerdy, but so they're in A minor. She slides down to the G sharp, the note below the tonic note, and I thought she was going to slide back up.
And she didn't.
And not only did she not, the next thing that happens is an E major chord, where she's singing, where the note she ended on that's out of key and sounds really uncomfortable is now the third of the chord of a major chord that's the 5 of the minor, and it's all kinds of coming out of nowhere. It's really drastically different.
It was the first time we actually have a major sounding chord as well. Like,
and the super minor, right?
And suddenly, boop, major.
And because it's the only one in there, it doesn't fit. So it's just as uncomfortable.
But what word is it on?
At the same time.
So
what word is it on?
I don't remember.
Rise.
So in layman's terms,
so tasty.
In layman's terms, the melodies stayed the same on the same note, and the whole chord structure shifted around her note.
Yes.
As opposed to her resolving into something that was already given.
The already made vote. It was awesome. Now, from a compositional standpoint, that was awesome.
Now to add to that, because all the suspensions that happen that are like kind of here and there and everything.
Yeah.
The lyrics on this, there are several lyrics that the previous thought doesn't finish until after the change on the bar.
Yes.
So you not only is it a note-wise suspension, but the previous idea is still being talked about.
Overlap of thoughts,
even though the next thing has come around or the next shift has come, the suspension of the lyric or the idea happens also as long as the note.
That is masterful. I personally like. I hold that in very high esteem. If you can write that and compose that in synchronicity, that is tasty.
Because there's the two things in this tune that I thought you'd really appreciate. One was the first time, because there's that harmony that's going on, but then there's the one time where everything drops out and she's on. I mean, it's overlaid, but it's the one like super thick chord.
Yes. Yeah.
That's like really dissonant or whatever. That's like one of the big ones. And the second one was obviously when you get to the lullaby,
creepy lullaby section,
children's tune, and how that comes through.
I was watching Hereditary earlier today, and I was just like, nope. I remember this. It is a masterful example of, hilariously enough, adding very, like, a lot of these techniques were not invented in the horror genre, not at all, but they are most commonly used in horror soundtracks. Unresolved sevenths, drastic chordal shifts from the unresolved seventh, just, again, details and borrowing from other genres that I didn't expect, and it's still a complete song. It doesn't feel like disjunct strings in the background. It's still like a rock tune with character analysis that kind of also somehow blends horror elements into a rock track. Another thing I didn't think could happen, but
sort of rock opera-esque.
It's great. I love it.
Parts that reminded me of a couple songs from Repo, the rock opera. The tune where the dad is singing about his daughter, like, why couldn't he just, stay in the home? Like, there's that whole, like, sort of lamentation song he has, when she finds out who he is. That very much has that kind of, that same vibe as that song.
While not specifically indicative of, like, what opera is, if you want an experience, Repo, the genetic opera,
is so good.
It is something you, whether or not you enjoy opera, whether or not you enjoy rock and metal, it is certainly an experience that you gotta go see it at least once. It's wild. It's all over the place.
You can find there. I mean, there was a movie. Like, it was the movie version has the main character is the guy who played Giles from Buffy.
Yeah,
plays the father figure. But it's
something. It's wild.
You can find it. I'm sure it's on the internet somewhere. You can buy it, but it is a trip. I was introduced to that movie.
It's an experience.
10 years ago.
It is a metal opera.
But that last song, "Sacrifice," is very similar to a lot of the feel of that opera.
So
anyway, we kind of diverged.
Yeah. Because my brain's swirling with so many questions, I'm not gonna. This is not the time to voice all those questions because answers will come in future seasons.
Well, you can still voice the question.
We'll choose not to answer.
Right. We'll just look at you.
Go and ask them.
One of the easiest questions I think that comes to mind is like, is Salem and Cinder the same person? And I don't know if I'm making a leap, but they're garments looked similar, and if the last thing I saw of Cinder was her getting bathed in white light from Ruby's silver eyes, and now Salem has almost a completely white face. I've seen anime pull that trope quite often. I don't know if that's too easy of this, but you can see how my mind would make that leap.
So I will not say anything.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but that is a totally fair
assessment
connection.
Yeah,
you know,
especially seeing the fan art used in Sacrifice, how Salem and Pyrrha were connected, unless that was Salem and Cinder. That was Salem and Pyrrha, right?
Yeah,
at the beginning.
Yeah.
And like I said,
and the second art was Ruby and Cinder.
And White Lie and White Eyes.
FlyntofRWBY, I think he had said something on this particular track that he thought, I don't know who it is, but like thought about redoing this with different artwork because it didn't match exactly what they wanted, but they didn't have what they wanted at the time or something like that. So when it comes to the artwork on some of this, it's a nod, but I wouldn't read too far into it.
Right, it's not the more canonical part of the...
Right.
I get
because it's all fan art that is...
but it did spark a thought. Like, it certainly did, so...
the lyrics in this, in general, like I said, are really foreshadowing. But it foreshadows... It's a long game type tune.
But let's talk about that for a second, because... So Salem's introduction at the end of Season 3 is very villain-esque. She is standing in either what looks like a red crystalline or red hellish background. She doesn't look like a protagonist. Dark clothing, really weird black veins, pale white skin, dark pupils.
And that whole monologue, because this entire time...
Oh, right, she narrates the end, doesn't she?
Well, it's the same voice, if I remember correctly. It's the same voice as the very first... narrator that you hear in the
explains the history of their world. It's the same voice
forgot
actor.
that.
Yeah,
which if that's important, that adds a very big layer of syntax and importance to Salem's character.
Yeah, it's just all this time because I've actually I don't remember who it was. There was one reaction where someone it dawned on them because you hear the narrator and it's like okay, and then that person it turns around and it's the same voice and they flipped the hell out, realizing it had been the narrator.
You're just like, oh, why?
Or the narrator had been this person all this time.
Right.
So you're getting the story of
from within the world. You're just like,
But also from a villain character.
Right.
That's very subversive. And the lyrics of this song it doesn't sound like it wouldn't come from a villain, but it sounds like it's coming from a justified villain. The I won't be your sacrifice, I won't fall not to you, I won't fall for you.
Yeah,
is very. It's a character with substance. It's not I wouldn't expect Torchwick to sing this song.
It's very much. I'm in the right with what I'm choosing to do. Kind of
which is exciting because
those are the best villains.
It's the lawful evil kind of. It's lawful evil, right?
Thanos. Well, no, it's conviction. And it is multi-dimensional character building for someone who's not in it for, a singular purpose. It's someone...
Or personal gain.
Yeah, it is conviction of an ideal from the other side of the fight that I think brings forth, character growth. And so it is interesting that the song gives this shadowy villain who we as Season 3 people know nothing about conviction. So most of the questions that pop in my head are what does she need to feel convicted about? Why would she not fall for someone? Because falling to someone sounds like defeat in battle or in something. Falling for someone sounds like emotion.
Right.
So, not only does this villain might this villain may or may not have conviction in their purpose, but emotional motivation as well to someone we may have already met. Who would it be? And it's just especially also having gotten introduced late in the game to Guardians and this new power structure that exists within the world.
The maidens
and all that. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be the maidens in particular. The world is good at showing it's like, hey, there's more layers than what you thought. Exactly. So now my brain is like, what other layers could there be? So gears are spinning. I have no answers.
I will give you something to look forward to in a sense, knowing your personality. That we can't get to Volume 6 fast enough. And the reason being is there is a specific episode or chapter in the beginning of Volume 6 where there are more dots connected, more lore is dropped, and more backstory than
Gotta love it.
In one episode.
Gotta love it.
So it is 20 minutes of 4 hours worth of processing time.
Oh yeah.
Because you see something like that. I mean, this could be any show, really. I mean,
but that's the money episode, though.
Yeah, where like all this stuff lines up to where you're thinking all the way back to things in Volume 1 and 2. I mean, you're halfway through like the arc, let's say, or the predicted possible arc, and now you're getting answers that damn it, they should have been answered 3 seasons ago or whatever. So yeah, there's
when I saw it,
knowing your personality and knowing like what you appreciate, because you and I are on the same level when it comes to like a lot of reading and plot lines and like, what kind of trips you as far as being like worth it.
Oh yeah,
in the grand scheme of things, you'll shit a brick.
I mean, when I watched it, I had to stop for a few days and then rewatch it. Because, like I say that sometimes jokingly, but like this was like I actually had to stop. Wait 2 or 3 days, think about it, and then went back and rewatch it. And I was like,
"Son of a gun! It's there, and it's there, and it's there."
Yeah. It took 2 watchings, and I was like, "There, okay, there's literally everything."
Yeah, the amount of
anime does that, movies do that. Like Heroes is very good at like
it's that curtain reveal.
Oh yeah,
that you see a lot.
The TV show Heroes does that well. The anime Attack on Titan does that well. Steins Gate does that well. There's so many shows that are built on.
It's like in Sixth Sense, we just like at the end, you're just like, oh, he was a ghost the whole time,
right?
Like,
or in Fight Club, and I won't reveal that spoiler.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you were not able to predict that.
The Fight Club spoiler is an exceptional one. That's very.
Yeah, he didn't get it at all. Yeah. He literally did not. Guess
I also watched that movie for the first time in 2018. So yeah, but the concept of building a world on the bullseye. And then slowly revealing a ring each time. Or sometimes just jumping to the outer ring, and the implication is learning all the other layers, and you're forced to think. So, I am now very excited for Season 6, Episode 3.
I have 2 or 3, yeah.
I have like 6 or 7 other things in my head, but like...
This is the music episode.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, just like... In the concept of pointing ahead or whatever.
Yeah, the soundtrack does do
that. They're really good. I mean, the series overall is really good, along with the soundtrack and everything. That, as far as like the layers go and stuff like that, they're really good about. And I don't even want to use the word trope because this gets into like legend status. Like there's certain key things within well-known legends, and that could be anything from Greek legends to biblical to what. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But there's certain little key things that they dial in on as all of this progresses. I mean, they've already done it some between volumes 1, 2, and 3. Where there's little bits and stuff like that where you're like, oh, okay. I mean, the obvious one is Achilles or something, but but the thing is, it's like that gives you a lean in on how that character, what's going to happen to that character.
Okay.
You're just not sure when, but why would this be that character? So after you realize that some things are like dead on the bullseye like that,
with the stories that they came from,
when you start seeing these nods, through 4, 5, and 6, and once you get like a reveal in 6 to kind of fill in a bunch of stuff, all of a sudden it's like, I should have seen that before, and I did not think about that.
Kind of a lot of self-butt kicking. You're just like,
So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming up.
I don't kick myself in the butt for things like that because I know in a show that's built to leave a lot of details to intentionally be found in the wayside and not to be like super noticed. I look back and I'll be like, oh, okay, well played. I respect the roundabout storytelling method.
Yeah.
So, this album was lovely, by the way. The music was much more layered. It's more dense.
Yeah, I think this is where they kind of find their stride a little bit. Like, there's more character knowledge.
3, 4, and 5 will be a lot like this.
There's more character knowledge, so you can kind of like start incorporating those other bits and pieces into what you're referring to in a song, or a particular melody, or introducing a counter melody that still belongs to the same person, though.
Oh yeah.
I remember what I was going to say way earlier.
Hey.
So when you had mentioned being an A minor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For the tuner.
Yeah.
But you remember how the trailers. Going back to trailers, are all in like D minor.
Yes, or at least they start there.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think about this until like 2 days after we had recorded the other thing, but
yeah,
I think that's purposeful because I think what he wanted to do was anytime those 4 characters are interacting, he wanted to be able to interweave their melodies with each other.
So D minor, A minor, you can do that very easily.
Well, I mean, not even the A, but I'm just talking about like the D minor.
All the themes are the same color.
A consistent key for the team.
Yeah.
So that you can mix their...
Yeah, so as they're having like a particular conversation or they're having a particular like issue come up or something like that or in a fight or something.
Right.
You can highlight each of those characters without having to like,
too much composition.
Where's the modulation going to happen?
Yeah. I either need to modulate this or I need to keep or I now need to transpose Weiss's theme into RWBY's theme's key to make this work.
Right.
But then it's not going to sound right because believe it or not, they won't know what's different,
but they'll notice.
Like they'll notice. Yeah. It'll be just something's off, but they won't be thinking it might be the music. They just won't know what.
Yeah, so. That's a really good thought, and just it's another tip of the hat to this compositional foresight.
Mm-hmm. If we're not trying to like superimpose too much.
Right, which is possible too, but I and many others are always surprised at the level of forethought that Monty seems to put into this show. I think something similar does need to be said for like Jeff, or like Monty's ability to translate this to Jeff, and Jeff taking the idea and laying down the foundations that are so flexible in times to come, musically, compositionally. Yeah. So kudos to everyone on this team. The
previous proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
Prior proper preparation prevents poor performance is the one that I know. Well, yours has more.
That's way more G-rated.
Yes, it is G-rated.
Those are literally the same things with different words. So,
preparation, proactivity.
All that's better.
Yours is better. Yours is better. I agree. And yeah, that's RWBY volume. That is RWBY's Volume 2 OST.
Yep. All right. Well, how long is it going to be before we get to the Volume 3 OST? Probably July. It'll have to be end of July.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us. Yeah.
Because
and by then we will have my side of the crew will have watched
Volume 4.
Volume
I think.
4.
Yes. So end of July.
Okay.
So I come back at the end of July, and then we've got a window before I have to go teach band camp.
Yeah.
And then then everything else is kind of opened up after that too, with different stuff. So so the RWBY stuff will come out twice a week, once on Tuesday, Thursdays. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as far as chapters go, and then that'll already be running by the time this comes out anyway. But and then we'll film Volume 3 at the end of July.
Volume
4, at the end of July.
Sounds good.
All right, we will. We'll see y'all later.
And until then, we're Sirs.
GX.
Oh God.
You got it last time, so I wanted to.
Right.
And on that note,
we're
done here.
Say bye.